I love how the timers are off in every different place that there's a timer. What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It is another, I was thinking about this as I was watching last week's episode earlier today. Q saying another episode, another edition of Free Thinkers.
Episode/edition/installment.
Installment. That's what it was. I like the installment thing. I like the edition thing. I know you don't like the episode thing, but I like installment.
All of them.
I like installment. So here we are, another Tuesday night. And I believe next week, unless something changes, we have our in-person next week. So next week should be the last Tuesday of the month. So we will be meeting at the food truck, of course. More information will be following.
I was thinking on one of these, come December or January, we need to schedule one for Genuine Joe's.
I don't even know if they're open anymore. Like,
They
I don't
are.
know.
Did you see the link that I sent? They are.
No. I tagged you in the video that they were like,
I know,
imminent domain.
They just sent something a couple of days ago, and they got some sponsorship. They did some things moving around. They're like, we back at the spot.
Shut up. We should. Yeah. Well, he likes you. He remembers you. You go talk to him. I mean, I'm sure we could both go up there together, but I know he's gonna remember you. So, yeah. And he literally said that in the interview. He was like, I know everybody that comes here. And I was like, he actually does. Like, it was that, Denise, it was that type of place and environment. Like, it was good people. So I'm happy that they got a little time to stay. So I agree. Let's do that then. I would love to do that. So do we do 2 in-persons 1 month? You want to try to do 2 in-persons 1 month, or do you want to?
I don't think Denise wants that. Denise like, y'all just trying to squeeze me all the way out, man. What's up?
Okay.
I mean, I think we can look at maybe, if not, maybe like we could do like
the holidays. Are you going to be here for the holidays at all?
I was trying
I'll
to
be
come
here
for Christmas. I was trying to come for Christmas, but I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't been too many places, or I didn't like took off too much. I mean, I can still work from home. I got like a situation now where it's same job, but I can work from home. But I don't know. I got to see what these tickets for. I did a little last minute.
If maybe it was already planned, and if you were definitely going to come down for Christmas, I was like, well, let's do it then, right? But like, I got you. Oh, we should. That would be super great. We'll have to talk more about that, because I mean, even if we were on
either maybe end of December, but definitely like end of January, it's gonna be cold.
That would be our birthday, so that would be dope as shit. That's that'd be our 8th anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Wow. That'd be the 8th birthday.
Back in January.
So we could do it like in January, maybe.
That'll work. Yeah,
I could probably do that if we're gonna do it in January. I could probably pull that off
after the holidays. Flights to rent down.
PTO will be back.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. So we got to reach out soon, Q. We got to reach out to them soon.
Reach out to Josh. Yeah,
that would be dope. But we won't be there next week. However, next week we should be at the food truck.
Yep.
So of course, more details to come for that. I'm looking forward to that. I almost kind of wanted to do like a Thanksgiving thing, but I'm like, no, I don't. I don't. He said we could do seafood nachos again, and I want to do seafood nachos.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we want to do.
Actually, what we want to do. It's so good. So that's next week. I just got hungry. It was such a heavy plate of food.
You just went back to a place.
I am. I'm there right now. I see it.
It's a beautiful thing.
Like you taste it on my tongue.
Those containers had to have been like 9-pound containers. Like, there's no way that you don't get shorted. So anybody who's wondering if they should come out and eat, man, you should come out and eat.
Shoot.
Come out and eat and have
some
conversation with us.
special.
Next Tuesday, put that on your calendar. Last Tuesday of every month. Otherwise, we are here every other Tuesday, and we're here till
9:29 Central Time. We will be out of here. Oh yeah, I mean it this time. Trust me, we went 3 hours last time. Even though that was a very good episode too. That was a good discussion.
Great.
Shout out to Toby.
Shout out to Toby. The conversation would not have been nearly as interesting had Toby not been on.
Shout out to Toby. He was mad last week too. I feel you, Toby. He was mad.
He was going in on us a little bit.
Girl, he was going in on them Democrats. Yeah, Q was definitely picking on him.
I was not. I don't feel like I was picking. I felt like those were very pertinent questions that needed to be asked and addressed.
You told him he was a Trump supporter. He didn't come on a Trump supporter.
Did that not need to be Denise? Did that not need to be asked?
I mean, you asked it, and then you kept doubling down after he said
no. He's like, no, you are. Toby's like,
hold on. No. Time out.
You were.
I could listen to him, but then after what he said following that, did that lead you to believe like, okay, now you sure? I just heard what you said, but I hear what you're saying.
Yes, but
That's
think
all I'm saying.
Most of the time, though, I think he was just trying to make sure that like whatever facts were being spoken upon were like accurate, right? So like if we're gonna debate something, like let's debate like making sure that what was said was right or what happened, right? But you know, I think he was just upset with them Democrats, and he felt it last week, and you know, we gave him a space to talk about it, and he did.
A safe space.
And it was a great conversation. And I hope he got off of the show, you know, feeling and thinking some type of way, you know, about the conversation that he just had and how he felt. Because there's a lot of people that feel like he does, you know.
Of course. I'm just my bias detector, not BS. My bias detector was way up. I'm like,
right.
Do you hear yourself, sir? And come on, let's be honest. Do I not call out anybody if I feel like they got bias? I'm sure I've said something to all of y'all at one point in time when I feel like y'all lean in one side more than the other.
Sir.
That's consistent. I ain't changed on that.
But it's consistent. I do it to everybody. Yeah. Shout out, Kevin. We see you in the comments. We sure appreciate you always following us on Tuesday nights. And you posted some great videos on the group page too. So for those of y'all that haven't done your own pick a post, you know, on the page, go to the page and scroll. There's some great videos in there. One of them we're going to talk about tonight, but just shout out to Kevin for always putting love on the page and joining us on Tuesdays in the comments. So if you want to engage with other people, like right now, actively, go over to the YouTube channel, which is Freethinkers Worldwide, and then you just go on tonight's video, go in the live,
all over the place.
And voila, you can talk, you know, talk to each other. We go talk to you. We're reading the comments and we try to get to every single one of them in here. So we will engage over there. So definitely jump over to the YouTube channel. And then of course on my page, we are streaming, and then on Q's page it's streaming, and on Denise's page it's streaming. So you can follow from any of those three places. But share. We are heavy on the share at this moment. So I am going to make my page public. So the video public. If there's anything you want to share before we start, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm good to go. I'm just changing my privacy.
Oh yeah, let's go. I'm with it.
Okay, there we go. There we go. You good? Hello?
Yes, we're here.
I can't hear
you. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Oh, it's frozen for me. All right, I'm good. I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Oh, you want me to start this off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when we talk, I need to shoot this back to you because I didn't look at the video. So in context,
do we want to start with the video or do we want to start with the theme?
The barbecue. Who invited to the barbecue? I want to start. Okay, so hold on.
Let's define that. Yeah.
Hold on. Which video you talking about? You talking about the one with the white woman?
Mm-hmm.
Stacey
Okay, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go there yet. I want to go to What was that? The video that made you come up with the topic, Nikki? Was that the one that you were watching? What were we talking about that made you think about that topic? I know we were talking about something.
We were at Tuesday. It was the last in-person Tuesday freethinkers that we had, and it was a good little bunch of us at the picnic table.
Right.
I know we had to.
Was that maybe Matthew? Did Matthew do that? Because he maybe somebody was saying they don't feel like they had the right to speak on something, and you know me as a freethinker, I'm like, you got the right to speak on anything.
Maybe it was.
And then it's maybe. Like then that's a thought of like who has the right, and that's one of the things that. So I think, and from contextually, like who has the right to come to the barbecue, or who's invited to the barbecue, who has a right to speak on the agenda of a certain issue that they may not exclusively or specifically be a part of. That's the part.
Who has the right to speak on the agenda of a group that they are not a part of?
Yes, correct. I believe that was the context we were coming from, talking about who's invited to the barbecue.
Yeah, and then
who gets to operate and speak in the space in that area that especially number one, are you invited? And then number two, when you are invited, then what's the rules, you being a guest in that space? So that's that was the context of where we came from. So we're gonna talk about, so write down like different group spaces, and then we'll talk about who's invited to that barbecue. Of course, you know, we got the black space, we got the white space. We can go race, we go gender, and then we can go special groups. That's pretty much what it is. Who has a right to speak on those things? So,
I love this. I love this.
You see how quick I break that stuff down? It'd be.
I love this.
Format it in mind quick.
Ooh. Okay.
So now, before we jump into these specific categories, now there we go. We can let's just go right back to the barbecue and make these parallels. Now these are just a couple basic observations that I have just about the barbecue. When you are invited to the barbecue, you know, people talk about read the room.
Yeah.
You catch the vibe first before you come in doing what you do.
I'm mad at that.
Feel the area, feel the room, see how the people operating with each other. Just take a step back and feel the vibe before you come in trying to do your thing. I think that's very important. Whenever you walking into any group that ain't yours, you need to fill out the room first.
Ooh, that's good.
Agree.
Another one. This is fun. This is funny one I wrote. Don't bring your special dish unless asked or verified. So what I mean by that, if ain't nobody asked you to bring the potato salad with the raisins in it, don't do that. Unless somebody said, "Hey, I like them potato salad with you got the walnuts and the raisins in there." Bring that. Unless they're telling you to bring a specific dish, don't be coming off the rails with this special stuff, and they be like, "Who brought this?"
Oh, I feel so called out right now. Okay, go ahead.
So now on the parallel, when you're coming into a group or agenda, don't you zig when everybody else is zagging. Don't you come in starting to present stuff that the rest of the group ain't authorized you to bring in. If they said, "Hey, Denise, we want you to come in and talk about or do X, Y, Z," then you do that. But if the group is about a certain, you know, that's like somebody coming in, the freethinkers, and we trying to have a philosophical conversation, and they be like, "No, we need to talk about pop culture." Hey, we don't do that. We may choose to do it, but that ain't really our thing. And it ain't for you who just coming into the barbecue to tell us what type of dish that we need to be serving.
Oh shit.
I used to be a rapper back in the day. I'm killing with the similes and metaphors. I can roll with them. Oh man.
Wow.
And then just another, so hey, don't be trying to bring, if ain't nobody verified your special dish, don't be bringing your special dish into there.
Special dish.
Ooh.
All
Third
right.
one.
Third.
You need to keep your tone down when you're playing dominoes or spades. You just got there. You don't know nobody. You don't need to be slapping the table all hard and talking to people crazy in dominoes and spades. You a guest.
You doing?
If that's how you do it at home, you're not at home. You need to.
You are a guest. Right.
Fill it out first.
Yeah. Ooh.
Trying to show out.
So
Looking
again, again, that's another reading the room type of thing. You got to fall and play your position. Fall in place. If you don't see these people doing it, then you don't do it. And even if they are doing it, you need to
read the room.
You need to keep yours moderated. And just because they doing it, that don't mean that's still for you to do it. You need to work yourself into that. So those are just basic barbecue, being invited to the barbecue observations. What y'all thinking? What y'all got?
Based on those observations, and those, are we kind of what rules and parameters?
Those are just my parameters and observations.
Okay, run it down.
I am not invited to a lot of barbecues based on this information.
What'd you say, Denise?
I said I am not invited to a lot of barbecues based on information.
You come out being straight yourself.
Like, this is what needs to be done. This is what should happen. And I'm like, and it's gotten me into trouble. And even though I was right, I just needed to follow the parameters. One, I needed to come in and just assess without speaking. And I don't. Right. I assess and then get right to listing all the things off. Then people mad at me. I always, whatever hierarchy is there, I always come in and break up the hierarchy intentionally. Oh, yeah, and it's just
why? Why would you do that, Denise?
Oh no!
I don't know.
Hey, it looks like it's about to rain. We need to take everything and we need to take everything to the pavilion. Like, you just got here. Why are you telling us what to do?
What are you doing?
When I assess that something is just not right, and that other people also realize it's just not right, but no one's saying it's just not right because of hierarchy, it just drives me insane. It drives me crazy. I can't take it. I'm like, no, you mean everybody knows this is wrong, but nobody wants to tell them because they're the CEO? Is that what?
But this not your barbecue, though.
I know.
You got invited to the barbecue.
I know. And I do this all the time. And sometimes people hate me because of it. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, I'm the problem. I'm the problem. It's me. I don't come in and assess. What was the other one? I'm definitely bringing potato salad with raisins without asking you if that's what you even want or if I even need to bring a dish at all. I'm definitely doing that because I'm for sure about to start suggesting some shit you did not ask me. Oh Lord, I gotta rethink my life. Go ahead, Q. Go, Nikki.
So it was interesting to me, and in that conversation, because the guy that you were referring to, did you say his name was Brandon? Was that the guy?
Who's Brandon?
The guy from Tuesday, the one that came with
Matthew. I think it was Matthew.
Matthew? Well, so he was I guess until Stephanie showed up, he was the only other white person there besides me, right? So getting into those conversations in those spaces is always interesting for me to watch how other white people respond and just their comfort level or discomfort level in trying to like interject something into the conversation. And so I think he did a good job. Like you could tell he wasn't like terribly uncomfortable given the situation. It was his first time there. Like he'd never met anybody before. Like I don't know if y'all have met each other before, Q, but I know y'all have some mutual friends, but it was his first time there. And it was a heavy conversation. We had a great conversation. And he just kind of like, he fit right in. but then you can see when it's too much. Sometimes you can see when it's too much.
Oh yeah, we definitely do a lot.
Well, no, just I'm saying people getting comfortable in certain situations and spaces, right?
Oh, you're saying like they start getting too comfortable.
Well, I mean, but you can
I don't.
You answer and you respond out of your privilege, right? Like you respond out of who you are, what your privilege is, right? And I'm speaking from a white person for sure. And if you're not continuously reading the room and continuously knowing your lane and continuously watching your tone and continuously being mindful of how much fucking space you're taking up in a room that you got invited into to begin with, there's a group of people that is not like you. You have to be very mindful of
time.
It does, but you have to be very mindful of all of those things, and you better be good at it if you're going to be in those spaces, right? Because I think the alternative is kind of what we had talked about, or was starting to kind of talk about at that time, is too many people being invited to the barbecue who shouldn't be at the barbecue. There's too many people being invited based on bullshit. Oh, they're cool on the surface, but they're not actually underneath the surface.
Oh, let me throw something else in there
So I like how Denise took this into allyship, because I mean it really all kind of rolls into the same thing. And then you throw in Stacey's video, and it was like, well, goddamn, this is a conversation to be had.
Okay, we talk about that video too in a second, but let me throw this in here. When somebody invites you with open arms, oh yeah, come on in, make yourself at home. That's a nice gesture, but you the recipient of that statement. Don't make yourself at home. Don't get too comfortable.
Right.
Just because somebody say that, then you exercise the proper level of moderation in those situations. Mm-hmm. Give people the opportunity to get comfortable with you first, and then you slowly start to. So, for instance, like I believe the guy's name was Matthew. Yeah, hey, come on, hey, look, hey, we free thinkers. Make yourself at home. Kick your feet up. Get comfortable. He got comfortable, but he stayed in his lane. Now, toward the end, I don't remember the other guy, some cat from Chicago. You remember him? He came in. I'm like, hey, just hold on.
Yeah.
All right, now what y'all talking about this? I'm like, hold on. Well, we in the middle of a conversation right now. Just you wait and get in. Like I had to tell him, like, yo, just fall in line first, and you gonna be all right.
Listen, hold up.
And I mean, he was cool too. He came in too hard. I'm like, hold on. I don't even know your name, and you just coming in, jumping in the middle of a conversation while we trying to listen to somebody else. Slow up. That's one of those things you're talking about, like, yo. And I know, I'm sure he saw us going back and forth and laughing and yelling and doing all that, and he wanted to jump right in, like
what are they doing? Right. What is that over there at that table?
You need to understand, this is organized chaos. It may look chaotic, but it's organized.
Right.
Very structured.
Right.
That's very true.
Right.
That's very true about it.
Right. Right.
But I think that's why it was important to kind of leave it as open as possible, because a lot of it is culture. And some of the culture doesn't need allyship. Like freethinkers culture doesn't need allyship. This is just the culture that we've cultivated, and this is how things go. And if you want to be a part of it, this is what you got to do. You got to be respectful. You got to come with an open mind. You got to read the room, whatever our rules and regulations are. So it's like understanding culture, understanding if you're a part of that culture, and understanding how you can fit into that culture if you're not a part of that culture. Because like I said, when it comes to workplace culture, I'm very bad at that kind of thing. Like any type of corporate environment, school environment, anything like in that realm, I'm not really good at it.
Well, even though you should, but I mean, you're hired by the job, so you've been put into the pit. You in the barbecue.
Well, yeah, until you get acquired by another company that has a whole totally different culture. And they want to acclimate to that culture, but you're still living in the culture you were hired in. So it's like when it comes to that, it's like this kind of fight against this clash between these two cultures. One's very corporate, one's more like startup culture. So like to go from that, even the way we dress is very different, like all those kind of things.
Right.
Like when I'm also taking like this emotional intelligence, I'm taking a leadership course and emotional intelligence is a part of it. And basically the way it was described is emotional intelligence is having self-awareness of yourself, but also how you affect other people, not just you, but how you also affect other people. And that's what emotional intelligence is. And then making, the proper decisions based on how you could potentially affect other people, and also being aware of other people's emotions and feelings as well. And I think that's all read the room means, is like assess other people's feelings, emotions, assess your own, assess how you're coming off can affect these other people based on what you've assessed about them. It's just like a lot of awareness you have to be a part of a culture that is not your own.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Demetrius, Nikki corrected me a few weeks back. We're not a debate group. We are a discussion group that's not afraid to debate.
Hey, Demetrius.
Discussion group that's not afraid to debate.
Yeah, that oftentimes tends to debate.
We can put that on a t-shirt. We need to put that on a t-shirt for sure. Like that needs to go on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I like that. Pick up on social cues. Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And that's hard. Now that can be harder when you're not a part. That's one thing I did learn about Austin when I moved to Austin. I say this all the time. Like I went from growing up in Leesville, Louisiana, which my graduating class was 40 people, right? And people could wear Confederate flags to school. You know what I mean? This backwoods country, this get her done, wear camo, is that, right? Very much that. And then I went from that to a HBCU, which was nothing but the blackness. And then I went from that to Austin. And I realized when I started working and I was being around white people again, I was like, we are so different. How we joke, how we play, all those things, how we treat sarcasm, how I treat sarcasm is very much like a love language. How white people oftentimes treat sarcasm is not that at all. It's very much like snarky, if you will, and like actually taking a jab and taking a shot. And I was like, oh, this person's reading me wrong. I'm just joking with them, bantering with them, having a good time, and they're taking it as something totally different. And so oftentimes some of this cultural stuff, it really does take a little bit longer than you know. And it sucks when you have to adjust who you are, even though where you're coming from is not a bad place. But if someone is receiving it that way, then you got to make the adjustments. But it just feels like Black folks be the only ones having to adjust.
Yes. And that's one of the things where you read the room first, because you need to catch. It's like a good comedian. They know how to, they read the audience first before they know, how am I going to deliver this? Am I going straight in for the throat? Is this an audience that, like, because you want it to, you want who you are to be received well. So you just want to make sure that you got a proper read of the room before you, and that's why you should just sit back, like, get a gauge. Listen, let a couple other people tell some jokes first and see how people respond to the jokes. Let somebody get smart with somebody else. Are they getting smart because they harsh, or is that just the way they joke? Like, feel it out. See how they interact with one another. See how the person, when somebody gets smart with somebody, how did the other person respond to it? Do they laugh it off? Do they joke? Or do they, like, are they getting amped up? Like, you just got to read everything out first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a guest. You're a guest.
Ooh. I gotta grow. I gotta grow.
That's surprising about to hear that about you, Denise. And I don't. It probably doesn't come off bad when you do it, because I don't think you have maliciousness in your bones. So no. I don't think, even the way that you're saying, oh yeah, I come straight, I don't think people probably take it that way.
Depending on the situation.
Like, no,
the situation. Because the frustrated me is a different me. Because once I get frustrated, I'm at my wit's end, which means I don't have any more grace. which means I don't know how to softly introduce myself. Like, like I'm just like very cut and dry and to the point. My tone is different. My voice might even be a little deeper. Like, it's very different when I'm like at that space. So yeah, and then being a Black woman too, like it's very, you know, the attitude gets attached to whatever it is I'm doing. It's like it's just thought of as more aggressive, you know, just because I, you know, am a Black woman. But you know what I did do? I was carrying this idea of like, I'm a Black woman and I don't want to say things because I don't want to be looked at as the angry Black woman. And I had like put that on myself. And then I was like, no, because the white dude, he's talking mad aggressive right now. And he's saying whatever he needs to say. And then I was like, I can too. And I will. As long as it's making sense what I'm saying. But I think it mainly is just an issue because of I'm in operations. Everybody knows like operations, people who are in operations in corporate America, bottom of the totem pole. Like that's just what it is as it pertains to the hierarchy. And so when you got me who's in operations, who like a lot of times where I was saying a lot of stuff, I was just the receptionist, but I was really tuned into the company and knew a lot of things because I talked to everybody. So I know what's going on. I know what's happening with the business. I know all of that. And so when you got the like chick who's the receptionist being like, you know, mentioning stuff that has to do with the bottom line, like the actual bottom line as it pertains to the business, that can ruffle a lot of feathers because people just don't like that disruption and hierarchy because then they can't rule with the iron fist if that's how they're trying to rule. So.
Right. Okay, so let's do we want to do this video first or do we want to run down some of the
you have
a video?
I didn't save it. I don't know if you
had a video.
I can give a rundown of this.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's on the Freethinkers group page.
Yeah, I watched.
It's on the Freethinkers group page. It's longer than 30 seconds, you know, but go watch it. It's on the Freethinkers group page. It should be close to the top of the timeline, and it's like it's Stacey Shea had posted it, so just scroll through. You'll see it. It's an old white lady. Should be like the profile or like the video picture. Should be what you see as you scroll through it. But it's interesting, and then there's some comments in there too, you know, so you can see what other people's thoughts and, you know, feelings are about it. So yeah, definitely go ahead, Denise. Give us the synopsis.
Let me see how long. Oh yeah, it's like 4 minutes. I don't know.
Okay.
Tell me if you can hear this first.
I did a video yesterday addressing specifically Black women.
Why'd you do that?
I just wanted to see how long my video would last before being taken down.
So you knew.
A woman, we have blazed these trails together.
I'm gonna stop you right there. You didn't, okay? The trail of a Black woman and a white woman aren't even on the same path. As a matter of fact, I'd have to argue that the Black woman's path has to avoid the white woman's path for her own safety.
We did this together. We need to stand together.
You use the term we quite a bit in this, trying to cluster all women, and that's not the case, because if it was, you'd just be saying women. You'd just be saying women. After that, you choose to start blaming Black women for alienating themselves or separating themselves, and I feel like you don't understand that that's a mere survival requirement, not instinct, requirement.
Why are you alienating?
Historically, white women have shown their fangs to dissuade, we'll call it. And those fangs come in many forms. Think crying to gain sympathy. Yes, they're at the park menacingly, existing again. Or even starting off videos like this.
Dear Black women, a high percentage of allies.
A high percentage of... What does your allyship look like besides calling them out and then saying, you're doing this?
Like, why are you doing this? Separation will lead nowhere.
It's so ingrained. You have blinders on like a horse and you can't even see that you're the oppressor. You're doing it right now.
And what constitutes white?
What do you mean, what constitutes white? You know what constitutes as white. Right? You have to know. You have to know when you check that little box on that form where you fill it out and write American. Like, you have to know, right?
Like, what? Where do you draw the line? Only certain Black people? Because I have 2% Nigerian.
Well, it's still white.
Am I allowed in? I think we all should be allowed in because we're women.
Yeah, I can't believe you actually not only said it, but watched it back and you were like, I'm putting this online. I know a manager hates to see you come in. What do you mean, let you in? Let you into what? What part of the experience is it that you're craving?
I don't know if you noticed, but the world is still being run by men.
It's like coding every other line here with like condescending.
Women had nothing to do with slavery.
There it is. It wasn't me, guys. I'm one of the good ones. I've never benefited from the system designed around us. One of the reasons we struggle to fill the gap in intersectionality is the lack of social awareness. You're exhibiting this exact behavior right now.
I'm sure we were saying, hey, babe, this is pretty effed up because we're nurturing, we're loving, it's wrong.
This is why they're trying to get rid of books. You weren't going to use them even if you had them.
We're Gen X, like, we grew up together.
If you were so vehemently against it and Gen X just grew up together, why didn't you solve it then? Why are we still having the conversation now? Let me guess, you also think that that's black women's fault. Come on, guys, we all experience the same struggles. That's why we have things like the Crown Act. Oh, does that not, that's not a, okay.
I learned so much from the black culture because of desegregation, and I loved it. Rockin' and robbin' all night long, pumping up, pumping in, and we're doing the double dutch.
You literally just showed that your view of black people is they are entertainment. That's what your awareness level is. This might be the hardest truth of any of my videos. Black people do not need white people. Hear that again. Black people do not need white people. Culturally, economically, in any fashion. White people, our culture would be gone without black people. I want you to think about that. Think about the food you eat. Think about the music you nod your head to. Think about the history of what your nation has fought for and against. What are we? Just every day more white women get access to TikTok that don't need to have it. And I'll get you a manager if you can point to Nigeria on a map.
Thoughts?
So I'm not gonna lie, I got a good healthy laugh the first time I listened to this. I thought it was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. It speaks to the audacity and the entitlement of white women. I tell y'all this a million times. I have dealt with this in corporate America when the white women want to start their women's groups and speak about how there are no women in leadership and there are only white men in leadership. And then I have to raise my hand and say, there are no black people in leadership at all. Not even black men. Just, they're not there. And then they make a big stink about it. And then a white woman gets in leadership and then they just start hiring more white women. And when you ask them about it, they want to bring up their favorite word, intersectionality, which is just a term that they use to disregard everything you're saying and stick to their point, which is they want to get more white women in power, and it has nothing to do with you. You are merely being used as a number to support their movement. That's all it is. And so it's funny because I don't know what this woman's deal is. And let me tell you, white people, this is something I noticed too. People who are white love to try and relate by bringing up their percentage of blackness. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
Like
you right.
I had a white woman talk to me, and she was in a high up position at work, and she was just like, yeah, well, she told me her dad was like Indian or something, but she looked very much white. Very, very much white. Okay. She had ass, but she was very much white. And she was like, she had some ass. She had ass. I did wonder at a point in time before I knew it. But anyway, so she was telling me, she was like,
know where your 2% at.
I don't see color. I don't. I was like, oh, okay. She was like, my dad's darker than you. I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, let me tell you something. When I walk into a room, I am not a woman first. I am black first. That's what I am when I walk into a room. So regardless of what you see, this is the experience that I am having. And I understand that your dad might be dark, but there's levels to this. You know, the closer you are to being darker, the worse off you're going to be treated. That's a whole element in itself that you may be unaware of. So yeah, you might be mixed or whatever, but that's when you walk into a room, don't nobody see your dark-skinned daddy.
Right.
Let me add something to that real quick, Denise. You talking about don't give us your 2% of what you are that can't nobody see. I'm gonna add on to that. Also, you having a black boyfriend or a black girlfriend does not bring you into the barbecue. That's not a free invitation into the barbecue.
Some people will give out invites because of that. A lot of invites have been given out because of people's who their partners were and how
is it because of their partner or is it because of who they are?
Both.
Now you get an invite because you deserve an invite, but you alone see. So for instance, there's people, I have several friends that were in mixed relationships. Mm-hmm. The mixed relationship didn't qualify. Okay, so one of my best friends, called my brother. Y'all see him on here, Brian, every once in a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got a black wife, black kids. That don't get him into the barbecue. Him being who he is gets him into the barbecue.
Right.
And there's other people who I know who have no awareness, have no, they have no education on culture or our struggle or anything, but they got a black girlfriend. That don't get you into the barbecue. And some people think it does. Like, I don't need to know anything, be aware, be a part of your culture because I got a black girlfriend. That should say enough. No, that doesn't say anything.
Some people still get invites for that. They be like, "Oh, he got a black girl."
Get an invite for you. Ain't going to my bar. I don't know who barbecue you going to. You don't get.
A lot of people. It's the same reason why somebody like Justin Timberlake will get an invite. Oh, he can dance. He can sing like us.
You know what? You right, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Yeah, Justin Timberlake don't get no invite to my barbecue just because he know how to dance and sing and culturally appropriate.
Culture comes into play. That's
right,
where,
exactly.
That's where there has to be a real fucking defining line of. You are in what they call it, you're in cosplay, you know what I'm saying, versus is this really you? Right. Is this really you, and how far does this you go? Is this you get turned on and turned off
of our type of entertainment? See, that's the one thing I appreciate about Eminem.
Me too.
He did not try to say, oh, since I know how to rap and I do rap music, then that makes me culturally accepted. He still act like a white boy. He didn't try to act black or act anything. He was just a white boy that could rap.
Right.
I mean, he didn't try to act black, but you could definitely tell he grew up around black people. And like all his, because there's a difference between like.
It's a difference between him doing it and like. He didn't have to try to be that because, like he talked about, I was trailer park trash, this and this and that, but I grew up around a certain culture, and you could tell that versus Vanilla Ice, who tried to act black and ain't have a piece of black culture nowhere around him.
I know a lot of white people who like they just grew up in the culture. It just is who they are. Their voice has more color. It's just what it is. Right. And I'm not going to say they're going to get the pass from me, but typically, like, if I know that you grew up in the culture and I know it's just like embedded in your like who you are,
right?
I know that you have a certain understanding of things, and I know if anything, you've caught more shit for being who you are. So I know that you want to come a certain way, and so. I will probably give you the pass.
And you know what? Okay, so that's part of it too, Denise. It's like we respect, like if you're one of us, then you don't separate yourself from us when it get tight. You know, there are a lot of people when it get tight. Oh shoot, let me go back to being Susie real quick because it's getting tight over here. Like, no, we can't respect that.
Right.
Now, and to the point, like you were saying, the people who really, and I'm not saying everybody got to do this, but especially for the people who ingratiated themselves even to the point where their own kind don't even accept them as they are. Okay, look, come on over here.
At this point,
you part of the committee. Come on over here. You ain't even a guest. You part of the committee. Come on.
Because you committed. You're really committed. Like you said.
Exactly.
Like you said,
there you go.
It's not when it benefits you. And that's where I draw the line. And like,
but I'm not saying that you have to choose allegiance between one side or another.
No, not at all. You ain't got to pick one or the other, but you can't.
You're not fair or weather with it. Nah, you all agree with it.
Right.
Absolutely.
And people could tell that. Or at least we can tell that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I feel like what I've seen over the last 2 cycles with Trump as a candidate, right? And running, like I feel like I've seen a lot of Black people who I've known since like middle school, high school, 2-3 decades worth of watching relationships and friendships and camaraderies with football players and basketball players and just different spaces where all them people had invites to the barbecue. All them people could have came. And all of a sudden now it's like, no, you're it's revoked, right? Because now
I don't think so.
I've seen so many people feel as though like they're not,
Democrats feel like that. They revoke. Black Democrats trying to revoke it, but independents, like at a certain point, you like, it's if I'm gonna start canceling people's cards, there's a whole lot of cards I got to cancel because there's a lot of Black Trump supporters.
Oh, for sure.
But I think that that's different than white Trump supporters. I think that I think that a Black Trump supporter and a white Trump supporter are 2 different types of people. And I don't even think that you can fairly.
Oh, why would that be, Nikki?
I do. Because a white person's innate desire to follow behind Trump is white superiority, which nobody's white superior except for white, and inferiority, right? Like white inferiority and white superiority. Now, there's a million other reasons why other people, I think, like him, right? But for white people to get behind him, knowing who he is and what he said and some of the things about him that, are generally fairly despicable, right? And not fucking equal if he wasn't a white man. I don't think that I look at Black Trump supporters differently than I look at white Trump supporters. I just do. I don't look down at Black Trump supporters because as a white woman, I don't really know why this Black person chose to vote for this nasty ass white man, but I do understand what Black people say about why they chose to. But when I see white people vote for that motherfucker, it's not because he's a good businessman. It's not because no, it's usually you identify with the inferiority and the superiority of our mutual complex, our complexion. And then after that, we make up reasons why we identify with some of the fucking shit that he does, but we don't speak out about the things that he gets away with that Black people couldn't do or that brown people couldn't do. But in the hierarchy of who gets shit on first, it's always fucking Black people when it comes to Black versus white or Black versus anything for that matter. So I don't look at them the same. I raise my eye.
Why wouldn't you look at? I don't get why you. I guess you just said why you don't look at them the same. But let me say this: do y'all remember a while ago?
Generally a one-directional thing.
Y'all remember a while ago we did the whole thing. This was something y'all was opposed to, but we did the evaluation of how free of a free thinker you are.
Yeah.
We talked about Nikki with her shortcomings. We talked about her being biased towards white people.
I did say that.
This the exact reason right here.
Not a bias. It's the
you just gave Black men or people a pass that you don't give to white people.
Because it's not the same thing. And I said, why? A white person identifying with him is different than a Black person identifying that you can't identify with. You just might like some of the things, right? So because I'm not a Black person voting for Trump and lived a Black life, I wouldn't know why the fuck a person would vote for him. But it's not my place to call, but I know why white people are voting for Trump. And it's not because he's a good businessman.
See, that's stereotyping when you say you know why white people are voting for Trump.
So you and Denise have white superiority and white inferiority? You can't, but I can. And people that look like me can. And people that look like me who have inferiority and superiority complex when it comes to whiteness and whatever the fuck it is that they're insecure about.
So do you think all Democrats vote blue for the same reasons?
Do I think that all Democrats vote blue for the same reason?
Vote blue, yeah. Vote for their side for the same reason.
What do you mean?
Did everybody? Did all the Democrats? Did they all vote for Kamala Harris for the same reason?
I think that most people voted for Kamala for about 3 or 4 different reasons, possibly. Yeah. One, she's not Trump.
Okay, that could be a reason. That's a reason.
Trump.
1, she's not Trump. 2,
she's a woman.
2, she's a woman of color. And 3, she's a woman.
3, she's a woman.
That's about it.
4,
abortion. 4,
abortion.
Oh, well, I mean,
LGBTQ rights.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. Well, for me, for me, I was saying like the top 3 reasons she got voted for was not because of anything other than those 3 most obvious.
I say all 5 of those is big. I think all 5 of those. What I'm saying is, millions of people voted for Kamala Harris for different reasons. I voted for her because she's a woman. I personally don't even like her that much. I mean, a district attorney. I don't like her.
Right.
But I wanted to see the representation get in office, just like all the white men and the one black man. I want to see full representation, and I feel like they all have limited power. And anyway, so yeah, let's get more representation. So I voted because she's a woman.
Right.
So other people, maybe my mama or aunties, they might have voted because she was a black woman.
Right.
Other people, like they said, they want to undo all these abortion restrictions. Some people, of course, the LGBTQ community, they want their agenda to be continued to be supported, which the Republicans don't do at all. They're going to vote for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some Mexicans who see the way that their families getting treated at the borders, they don't want that to happen no more. So they're going so all I'm saying is there's different legitimate reasons why a person would vote for this person or this party. And if it's true on that side, then it can also be true on the other side as well.
Right. So that's why I don't think that you can look at black Trump supporters the same way you can look at white.
But you can't say that all white supporters voted for him for the same reason.
But I
just made this long argument. You ain't paying no attention.
She doubled down. She doubled down, Q.
Let me speak it.
You're biased. Now you on the Toby seat now. I'm putting you on the Toby seat.
Let me speak it my name. You can't put me on Toby seat, trust me. I don't know. And granted, I don't know all white people, and y'all probably know a lot more white people than I fucking know. But I don't know any white people who honestly voted for that man proudly, who didn't have some ways about them that I would definitely exclude them from the fucking barbecue invitation. And that's not like outright outlandish racist type shit, but like, you don't get it. Just because you have a mixed kid doesn't get you an invitation. Just because you like black men doesn't get you the invitation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so a lot of them, they're the all lives matter people, right? They're the ones who can't say Black Lives Matter, who won't say Black Lives Matter. Whether you agree with the organization or not, it's way the fuck beyond that, right? But will all lives matter everything? I mean, yes, of course we know all lives matter. That's irrelevant. Like, we know that, right? But that's not what we're talking about in those spaces. So it's those types of people. So yeah, they'll tell you, oh, well, you know, I'm anti-abortion, I'm anti this, I'm anti that. Yeah, but you fucking You got a sprinkle of white inferiority in you. You're one of those white people. And I guarantee if you look further enough down the line of their family, it's in there some fucking where. There they are. This is the one that taught you something about black, something about white, something about wrong, something about what we don't mix. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it came from somewhere. I'm speaking in my lane. I don't think they're the same person. I don't. You know, in that same breath, I think that people who voted for, black people who voted for Trump, I mean, shit. and correct me if I'm wrong, weren't initially most black people Republicans initially, right? Like, so that was most back when the fucking two parties started.
Don't include that. That's a whole everything flip.
We're talking about when we talk about conservative views, when we talk about quality of life, when we talk about, you know, the sanctity of unions.
The stances that they have now are totally different from what those parties were established on. It ain't even. That's the whole Dixiecrat left the Democrats because of certain things that they didn't like and switched to the other side, and then the other side it was major politics involved in that.
That as it may, going conservative aspect of life versus the very not conservative aspect of life, right? Like, they're not, to me, they're not the same. I look at them differently. You know, I want to always delve into Black Trump supporters to understand why. Like, and so, like, I was hoping last week when we had our
I would like to do that. Because you know what, I kept saying I wanted to do this years ago. I wanted to do like some different exclusive free thinker groups, and like all LGBTQ, all trans, all Trump supporters, all whatever the group is, and then have a forum with that. I may try to pull that back if I can get. See, now I think this is the first time I feel like it's possible, because this is the first time I've seen people be more open with their Trump support. It was very hidden previously, but now it's more open.
Well, I think that so I don't know if this is y'all that said this or my roommate that says this, or probably some sort of combination, but it's like typically the people who are wrong are just very loud. You know what I mean? Like, the people who are ignorant are just very loud. I do think, though, don't get me wrong, just like there's a bunch of people who voted for Kamala because she was Black. A lot of Black women voted for Kamala because she was a Black woman. Let's be real. A lot of white folks voted for Trump because he was white. Let's just be real. But I do think there are some white people who voted for Trump because they really like the policies. And I think there are a lot of quiet Trump supporters, hence how he got into presidency, because they are quiet, secret supporters, because if they come out as supporters of Trump, especially if they're white, people assume that they're racist, and that's not necessarily true. So if we could have the conversation, more people would be more inclined to say, these are the reasons why I'm voting for him. But they're not. They're just going to secretly do it because they don't want to be ostracized, called racist, and all these other things like that. So I think it'll probably be easier for us to get a Black Trump supporter on here before we get a white one. I really do.
Yeah, I think, well, as long as they don't watch the episode last week, then we can get all of them on there. But because that wasn't even my intention.
You did go in.
That wasn't my intention. I really didn't feel like, I don't know. I did go back and watch it. I don't feel like I unfairly went in, or I don't feel like my assessment, or if I had an accusation, I don't feel like it was led with bias, because it wasn't me attacking Republicans in favor of Democrats.
But it was you telling Toby he voted for Trump and not for us.
But I never said anything was wrong with that, did I? I never said one bad word about somebody supporting Trump. It ain't gotta be wrong,
but you told him he did something he ain't do. That's where,
like... You can say he ain't do it. I still ain't there.
See, I agree with Fred. He said strongly disagree. You cannot vote for Trump and not fester some sort of racism in you. Like, and that I guess that depends on how you subscribe.
The reason I disagree with that is because of the two-party system itself. If you believe, and of course you, Nikki and Denise, you both don't, and I don't even believe this, even though I still vote. But there are some people feel like it's their duty to vote. They are strong supporters of voting. So if you are a strong supporter of voting and they give you two freaking choices, people feel like they got to pick one or the other. I don't agree with that. But for a person who believes that, it's not that, I'm I'm picking him because I'm racist. It's like, they may have a few. I may be pro-life, and this party,
pro-lifers did that.
Yes, a huge
lot
portion.
of pro-lifers did that.
You are not racist. If you are not racist, right? If you're not racist, you don't think racist. If you're not racist, then you abhor racism, right? So if you're not racist, you can't side with somebody who's racist. You can't. And racism only racism.
I disagree with your premise, though, Nikki.
Goes one way.
I disagree with your premise. You said it. You said it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You said if you're not racist, you abhor racism.
No, I said if. Yeah. If you're not a racist, then you abhor racism. You abhor racism.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who are indifferent. And you could say hate it, but it's like, no, I'm not going to go marching with you. I'm not going to go protest. I'm not going to stand up anytime somebody says something out of pocket. I'm not going to go out of my way to correct someone who says something that's out of pocket. Like, there's people who may not be racist, but they don't abhor racism. Like, I am not.
You have to choose a side. You have to.
No, you don't. And that's the problem. In America, you do not have to choose.
Being neutral is a decision. You've chosen a side if you stay neutral. You just have. That doesn't mean that you have to go all out and be at the front of the motherfucking protest line. You ain't got to do all that.
You look at it that way, but think about, there's a lot of people who don't even encounter. There's a lot of people. You see all them red states that got chosen. A lot of them don't even encounter black people. Why do I, like, you're talking about, and I'm talking about them, like, you're talking about something that doesn't affect my day-to-day life. Ain't nobody but white people around here. So I agree. Yeah, everybody should be treated like humans, and I don't like the stuff that goes on, but you want me to drive to Houston to like, no, I live in my little white world.
I mean, I'm with you in that, Q, because, like, for instance, all the stuff that's going on with Israel and Palestine, like that, I mean, it's hard.
Perfect example.
Like, kids, babies, like, that shit was intense. But also at the same time, my focus is me
trying to pay these bills by the end of the month. Right.
And how these, like, my focus is not only is it like me and being a black woman, it is New York specific situations. Right. That's my concern. Like, so I don't have, like, that's not my focus. And I'm not going to shift my focus to go over here and then get off track instead of worried about what I need to be worried about. Does that mean that I'm racist? Does that mean that I don't, I don't care about the innocent people who are dying over there? Does that mean that I am in support of what Israel is doing? No, it doesn't. But that ain't my focus. And that's not the thing that I'm looking to hear. I'm not looking for my candidate to say free Palestine. I'm looking for you to talk about what's going on domestically, because that is my focus, because that is the thing that directly affects me, that I need to see change right now. If I see some things change and I can live my life in a certain way, then I can begin to invest in things that are outside of me. But as of right now, the struggle is going on in my house. So it's just like, that doesn't make me racist. I just got a different focus.
Right. And racism, especially if it's not something that I interact with on a day, when it comes to level of priority, that's just not going to be the level of some people's priority. Like, it's not going to be top level on their priority list.
Yeah. Just like abortion is not top on my level of priority list, because I know how to avoid getting pregnant. Like, and I know that if I got into a situation where I got pregnant because of force or because of a medical reason, I know I still have the option. So it's just like, that's not a top priority for me. So it's like, I'm not going to, if I was to vote, I'm not going to go vote for Kamala just because she's pro making it a federal thing or whatever the case may be. I just don't care. Not a priority.
Yeah. And even if I felt one way about pro-life or pro-choice, then that doesn't mean that I hate the other side.
Yeah. It's just, how many battles can you fight as one person living one life? You, at some point, you have to choose what's going to be your battle and what's not going to be your battle. And it's very hard when you're seeing everybody struggle. It's overwhelming. Sometimes I feel like a shit human, because I'm like, damn, I just don't have the capacity to give to that. I just don't. And I'm not going to. And I'm not going to like, I feel like a lot of us, especially with social media being a thing, are so inundated and consumed and overwhelmed with everybody else's struggle. And we're human. Of course, when we see somebody going through it, we're going to be affected by it. But it's like, how much can you give to everything? You know? Nikki, what are you thinking? I see that brain working.
Let me interpret for Nikki. You want me to be I'm be the interpreter for Nikki? Here you go. I said what I said.
It really is. Like, but I also feel like Denise, like hearing you talk, right? Like and this kind of goes along with why I say that my view of a black Trump supporter is not the same view of a white Trump supporter, right? I don't think that there are. I don't think that black people have the same responsibility to a whole bunch of other shit, because it's still responsibility to self, right? Responsibility, like you said, I walk in the room, I'm not a fucking woman, I'm black first. I've had this conversation with gay folks who are like, I'm not gay first, I'm black, and then I'm gay, right? Like, so black has to come first, gay comes second. Black has to come first, woman comes second. Black has to come first, man comes second. Like, so I don't feel like black people are not responsible to a lot of things that white people are responsible and need to be held accountable to, right? Like, I heard Barefoot Empress Fatima say years ago at a protest that she was speaking and it was like the most profound shit, and I shared this before, and she was like, white people have to denounce their privilege. It's literally the only people that can end racism and change white supremacy, which we know it's not going to fucking happen, because that's the system in which this country is built on, and it's not designed to go off track, right? So we have to fight extra fucking hard, but it's up to white people to end white supremacy, to change white supremacy, to denounce white supremacy, to challenge white supremacy, right? You can't. I can. People that look just like me can, and we have to. We're expected to. It is our responsibility to. So I don't look at a black Trump supporter the same way I look at a white Trump supporter, because a white Trump supporter, I can't fucking go that direction. There's a lot of things that he might get down with that I might get down with too, but you got me fucked up. I could never vote for him, so I would choose to not vote for anybody before I would choose to give either candidate my support, because on GP alone, I do feel like he is a racist white man, but most wealthy white men in their 60s and 50s and shit, 12s and 20s and 30s shit, are racist to a certain degree, right? And like he said, he's the least racist person in the room, and that was a room full of white Democrats, right? So they're all fucking racist. He's just the least racist. So if we think he's nasty, what these other white boys sound like and these white women sound like behind closed doors, we already know.
So then you should have an issue with any white person that votes, period.
Well, I have a lot of issue with a lot of white people. Right? So, and that's honestly what I put in the video. Like, it's when
the
you see
some white people that voted, then you have an issue with all of them.
Say that again?
The 100-some million people, white people who voted, you have an issue with all of them.
For Trump?
No, either side. Like you said, he was the least racist. All of them racist up in there.
I mean, I support not voting. I'm not giving pieces of shit my support. So
I know, but I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about how you view other people. Just like you view a white person who votes for Trump as racist. If a white person who voted, but I'm saying a white person who voted for Biden, would you view them as racist as well?
No, I would probably view them as very indoctrinated and somewhat, one of those type of people, right? That's just how that's me.
Why the difference? Why the difference?
Because there's a lot of people who go on the Democratic train who do have like this, I want to be helpful, I want to make change, I want gay people to be able to get married, I want people to have equality. But then you start to see, but I think the Crown Act is stupid, and I think we should take these books down. So to your point, they're a fucking same bird, just different feathers at the end of the day. However, getting behind somebody who is openly and very much publicly said and done disgusting things to people of color, Black people in particular. To get behind that means you just sweep that under the rug. And that's not how you end white supremacy. That's not how you challenge white supremacy. That's not how you be accountable and responsible to trying to be a part of the solution as opposed to just being a part of the problem. That's how you just keep doing what you've always fucking done in your family line. You just keep doing it, you just keep doing it, you just keep doing it. And this is where you get the don't talk about politics and religion. Because we can't fucking talk about it because we don't want nobody to know.
Whole another thought. I don't even know if I can go there. I ain't gonna even go right there.
Yeah, we were at 9:30 tonight, so we can't.
Oh yeah, no. Fred said leaning on two-party system is an excuse. The ballots are open for a reason. You can and should vote third party. I agree with that, Fred, and I'm a third. I definitely agree with that. So if you heard me talking about the two-party system, I was just proposing an argument.
Shout out to the comment section. Y'all are going off in the comments. Darren, Stephanie, Big Fred, y'all holding it down in the comments. We appreciate that.
Tara, what you thinking?
So I mean, it's kind of a gift and curse with this whole this system, right? We have to somewhat participate in it whether we want to or not. Like, so, you know, what I would say, I literally just had this conversation the other day. Is it that all white people are racist because they benefit some level to their privilege that they would never give up? Like, every white person benefits from this privilege of being white. Even if they're not outright racist, they still benefit from it. So can it still be connected to racism? And can they still be seen as racist? Because regardless if they want to or not, they're connected to it.
It can be. I don't think it always is. And even if it is, it may not be conscious.
I mean, I'm not turning down any privilege.
Right. I mean, exactly. So at a certain extent, right?
I'm not turning it down. If I get something just specifically because I'm fill in the blank, I'm not turning it down.
But again, that's one of the things where we make a mistake. We get so caught up in the presidential election and voting for president that we miss the other things. You miss the school funding in your local district and you know how that's going to affect your people vote for a lot of different reasons, and it ain't just about the presidential thing is probably a smaller thing than what happens in your local election. So we can't look at voting itself as just some meaningless bad thing. It does mean things, especially when you get into the local part. All right, so I don't know if we can we didn't bled back into our last conversation yesterday. Let's get back to the barbecue. We straight went there.
I can tell you what I feel about the barbecue.
What you feel about the barbecue?
Stop inviting everybody to the barbecue. Let us have our own distinct thing. Like,
what?
The idea of inviting folks to the barbecue when it's supposed to be culturally ours is the reason why we have so many people exploiting us as individuals, as Black
okay, Tiara, if you follow the rules when you come into the bar, more people at the barbecue is a beautiful thing.
She didn't hear rules.
No, because they intend that what they do is they adopt it and then they actually try to own it.
Oof. Well, that's the problem. Then you get kicked out the barbecue when you start.
But they're already in. You done already got adjacent to the secrets and the norms and the people. So now you think you have a say and a voice in some of our most sacred conversations. You can look at hip hop to a certain degree, right? You have a lot of people on social media that is now becoming in love with hip hop and don't know it's in their distinct qualities that makes hip hop, which is, you know, coming out the gutter and making something out of nothing. But they get the glorified version of it, the money, the bling, bling, bling. And now it's like, did we really allow these people come in and just satire our shit? Like literally satire. Like it's funny now. It's almost like a joke. Where this is really was our
we didn't allow it. Just people with money. No, people with money and platforms. They always gonna have the ability to do what they want. there is still, if you listen to Kendrick Lamar and Lecrae and Nas is still making great music. There's the real hip hop is still there. Now, if you feel like you can only listen to something when it's being pushed on a major label or when it's, at Coachella or something, then that's on you. You don't have a real ear for it in the first place. I can't do nothing about that. But the real stuff is still there in full effect. Post Contra, do y'all listen to that? Tobe Nigwe? It's still there.
I think the problem is when we speak specifically to hip hop or black entertainment, black music, black whatever. I think the issue is this. We own the culture, but we have never been the owners of who is monetizing it. And thus we lose control of what it will be. If the record labels are saying, and I've heard somebody bring this up recently, bang, bang, shoot 'em up is the thing. And that's what's making money. Even though our bang, bang, shoot 'em up came from this is like Nas, this is what I saw growing up in Queens. This was an experience that I really lived. And I'm not glorifying. I am telling you a real story about things that happened to me. It's very different from the label saying, okay, let's do drill music because that's what sells. And then those things start to influence the culture because that is what is selling. So now that's what's being sold. So it's like, we've never owned it. We created it, but we never got to own it.
And but we were mostly the consumers of it. And then when it turned to consumers of some other kind, we know that now hip hop is predominantly dominated as far as sales with white America.
So Tierra, let me say something to what Denise talking about. We never owned it. My question is, especially if we go back to the natives that were here, are we supposed to own it in the first place? That's a lot of that is a white man's principle about ownership. Mm-hmm. Maybe we were just supposed to experience and express it. And other people decided, hey, let's bottle this up and let's sell it and distribute. Like, hey, hip hop started out in the park. We used to play it it wasn't designed to be owned. And I think once you get into the ownership part, then you lose the true element of what hip hop is, a creativity and originality. And you see the music that you listen to has no originality, has no creativity in it. But the real people that's doing it, it's still, they got their own flavor. They got their own fingerprint on it.
That's a good point. But if something is innately a part of you, you should be able to monetize that. Like you should be able to live off.
That's Western philosophy thinking. That's Western philosophy capitalism thinking.
Yes, because we do live in a capitalistic society. If we did not, then this would be a whole different discussion. We wouldn't even be here. But because we do, we should be able to own what we create. It's intellectual property. We should be
I'm not saying that we shouldn't be able to own it. I'm not saying I agree with that, but you understand money dilutes everything. The moment you start to flood money into something, then the purity of it gets diluted.
That's not 100% necessarily of the time. True. If from the beginning of hip hop, there were black music executives, there were black record labels, black distributors, do you think that hip hop would be what hip hop is now? Absolutely.
Even then in the early 90s, the dilution was already taking place.
But my point is, if from the beginning we had black distributors, black record labels, black executives, hip hop would have not made this turn. Mm-hmm. Because when you see how something directly affects your community, think about Deborah from BET and how everybody hated her. But she was like, certain things we're not going to do on BET. All the rappers hated her because she was like, oh no, there's a boundary here. Y'all are not going to just do whatever, put out whatever, and put out these messages to the youth. That's why everybody hated Deborah. But really what Deborah was doing as a black executive was being like, hey, we need to change our messaging here. And had that existed from the dawn of time, Black music would be very different. Hip hop is starting to get to a point where it's like, it's almost starting to get how like jazz is now. See,
but she still never brought
jazz,
back Teen Summit.
She did,
she
or
still did not.
But my point is, like, does she need to go back and
yes,
bring
I'm
back
saying
old
I'm saying there's still levels of dilution in everything.
So this is what I'm saying, Q.
Go ahead.
Just like with jazz, we were really the creators of jazz. Jazz was the first hip hop. It was the thing that was going against the grain. It was the thing that people didn't understand. And then because we did not own jazz and we didn't, there were no executives, nobody was making no money, so people were just on drugs and doing whatever, because that's what the music scene is all about, because they don't want to pay you, so they want to keep you high and drunk. If we would have had ownership, jazz would still be the very rich thing that jazz was at that time, a very rich culture. But because we don't have ownership and everybody died off because they can barely survive, because they're not making money and they're having to run themselves into the ground touring because they ain't making no money otherwise, because they don't even own their own records, then you get this
very
diluted
optimistic
version.
Thinking.
You get this diluted version of what we have now, which is jazz sounds like some corny, cheesy thing for the most part, aside from someone like a Robert
You don't
Glasper
like today's jazz
and a
now?
Kamasi Washington and a Terrace Martin. But for a long time, before these guys came along, jazz was some corny Kenny G shit. That's what it was. And that's what we're watching hip hop.
You don't like Kenny G?
Kenny G, or I don't know, Ahmad Jamal.
I like Kenny G.
Kenny G, or I don't know, Miles Davis. Kenny G, or Duke Ellington. Like
those are two different types of jazz.
Like, the textures, the soul, the spirit.
It's two different types of jazz.
So should we categorize rap as two different things? Because if we're inviting people, like the whole idea of inviting people into the cookout, you dilute what the cookout is what you're saying.
I wasn't speaking of the cookout as solely a Black thing. I'm just saying whatever the interest of that group is, how do you decide when you're going to let someone who's outside of your group, whatever that group is, come in and sit down and eat and partake in fellowship with that group? We wasn't using the term barbecue as strictly just a Black thing. It's just whatever your group is. How do you decide when you let somebody? But we got to Black music and
entertainment.
We started,
That's
how
this part came into place.
But that came.
We might have to do a part 2 because we ain't gonna get all the way through the rest of these.
Yeah, it's like it's hip hop is so like fundamental to African American or Black or however you want to categorize this music, this genre, just like jazz. It's distinct in our culture that, like, to see it where it has eroded to is kind of sad to see, when it was so authentic and raw and emotional and really you put thought and theory behind it. It was musical, it was magical. And to see it what it is now is comical and it's almost character.
What do you see? So okay, Tierra, I'm going to blame you.
I'm talking about the mass. Let's talk about the media and how it's portrayed in the masses, not underground hip hop. We know underground hip hop is there.
Okay, so let me go here. Do you feel that is J. Cole not making real hip hop right now?
J. Cole is, but I mean, how many?
That's the last generation to do this.
Yeah,
Cole and Kendrick.
Pushed right now. What is pushed right now in our culture? And this is what
I think just like fashion, everything is being pushed. I'm like, there is no right. Everything is just in right now.
Not to the scale and level. I feel like hip hop.
Well,
I feel like
that's the problem.
Rap, because
you have to realize that hip hop is geared toward young white teenagers. When you're talking about a capitalistic market that's trying to make as much money as they can off of a certain industry, they're gearing this toward the largest demographic, which is 15 to 30-year-old white kids. So they're going to make a watered down version that's palatable for them. That was never designed for us.
But that is to Tier's point, which is like there's rap and there's hip hop. Hip hop is the culture of, and rap is a part of hip hop. And we're talking about rap. Oh, that's a whole other conversation. But hip hop is a culture. Hip hop is in fact Black culture. Hip hop is the only, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the only real American culture. Besides maybe like what, baseball or something like that. But what else is American culture that's not derived from
war?
Something else.
War is American culture.
War is every man's culture.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
that
man's
existed
culture
far before.
So, thank you, Tierra, because that goes back to something I was going to address with Denise. Because when you kind of alluded to like, okay, had our culture and had our music not been infiltrated, just think about how pure. Are you sure it still would have been pure had it just stayed with us?
For sure. Yeah. But the thing is to me, it would have been more like how the golden era of hip hop was, where you had your people who talked about, drugs and violence, and you also had your people who were really rapping, and then you had your people who was doing a mix of both of those things. Like it would, and then the other thing is, with us, we are so much harder on us, and to our benefit sometimes, and then to our demise in other times. But you can't go to the Black church and not sing the Black church down. They will look at you like you're crazy. But you can go to a white establishment and you can have that same voice, and they are, oh my God, they are so impressed. So even just being able to maintain a certain level of skill set that you have to even be a rapper would be a higher bar, because we would be the owners of that. And we would directly see how these things are directly affecting our community. If you're talking about shooting them up and selling drugs ain't affecting your community, you don't care. But when it's directly affecting your cousins, your brothers, your nieces, your nephews, your family, when you see how that thing is affecting your community, you will act differently. But if it doesn't affect you, like we said earlier, you don't care. You're just making your money. Talk about what you want to talk about. I'm just here to make. I'm just here to make a buck.
It's possible. I think money corrupts everything.
What? Yeah.
Human greed.
Yeah.
And especially in a non-socialistic society, when if I do this, I can get a bigger piece of pie. You invite greed in. I'm not saying it would look the same as it looks now, but I ain't gonna say it would still be the purest form of whatever.
For sure.
Still gonna get
sure.
Yeah. I
right,
agree.
well,
it would adapt and adjust and evolve to the times to a certain degree. But I hate when the term of gatekeepers, but sometimes as Black culture, we may need to be a little bit more gatekeeping around our culture, because we are so accepting of everybody else, and you can't
But why are we not though? Because there's a lot of money on that other side if we pimp that out to them.
Yeah, but then we're not as accepting to ourselves. If we had that same acceptance,
and that's the concession a lot of people are willing to make, as long as they're getting that check. That's what I'm saying. Money corrupts everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we at 128. We're gonna have to do a part 2 of this.
Deserves a part 2 or something.
Yeah, we gotta do a part 2 of it when we get to, because I still want to know. I want to know who invited to the white barbecue. We ain't broke it down by gender yet, between male and female. I'm sorry, male and woman. I don't know how Nikki like to say that, but
male and female in that situation.
Because one of the things I didn't get to, even going back to the video, I don't know if y'all paid attention to this, but how do y'all feel about the white man who was commentating on the white woman, giving commentary about what Black women do or don't like, and what y'all ain't see that part either?
No,
did he have a right to speak on that?
He was doing a little bit too much.
That's what I'm saying.
He was with me until he got to the end, and he was like, Black people don't need white people, and da 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 da. I was like,
see, that's what I'm saying.
He's
sticking his chest out at the Domino's table a little too hard.
Here you go. Now we sound crazy. We sound racist. It's like, no. It's like, when people start going like all or nothing, it's just too much sauce. Like he put too much sauce on that last part.
See, that's why I'll be paying attention to all that. Like, okay, now he's still, whether you like 90% of what he's saying, he's still a white man speaking on behalf of black women. Is he allowed in that barbecue space? Anyway, that's something that we can start. Maybe we can start from there. Next, and that's gonna be 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from
now. I know. Maybe it's like scenario based, like barbecue questions. You know.
All right. Hey, we're at 1:30, so we can close up. Comment thread having a whole different conversation than what we having. They having two totally different conversations.
I see it. I was like, yo, I'm trying to read their stuff, and I'm like, ooh, they got some good points and da 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 da.
Oh wait, on our playback, you don't see the comments like on the live video, like on YouTube, right?
You only see what you put on the screen, so you can see the YouTube live chat, and then you whatever put on the screen, but you don't. You only get to see in Facebook what's in Facebook. So
yeah.
But Q's showing them all in order though. Like he's got them all.
I can't keep up with them. They coming in fast. I put them up. But hey, we at 1:30. Nikki, you got any last words?
Y'all put in the comment section to bring your ass on in 2 weeks so we can have this conversation live.
That is true. Yeah, if you live in the Austin area, come on through.
And they do. They close enough. They can definitely make it happen. But no, my last words is this conversation ain't over. I don't even think we really scratched the surface where I was wanting this conversation to go. So I think there definitely is a lot more that needs to be said. And, we've talked about this the last couple conversations, right? Like just there being an awakening, I don't know, a sensitivity, an alertness to, a yearning to, a desire to, something's got to be different, right? This shit ain't fucking it. Like everybody's living in a place where there's some unsustainable shit going on, right? And when we sit back and we watch what just happened last week, and we're still kind of seeing what's happening, and we gonna see what happens between now and January in the next 4 years, and blah 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 blah, right? Like we just need to keep having really raw, honest conversations. And I know some of the folks in the comment section probably are feeling real some type of way right now, but these conversations need to happen. We've got to start getting down to the bottom of some places where we can fundamentally agree that we got to start from here and fucking go up. And so I'm talking to my people in particular. Like this is the time where we need to listen. This is where we shut up and we fucking listen. We listen and we listen to what is being said and we formulate a plan. And if we're lucky, we get invited to the barbecue. If you're fucking fortunate, you get invited to the barbecue. So this conversation is not over. Try to get invited to the barbecue. Live like that. Maybe you might get so lucky and you might get your invitation. Maybe they'll bring you a plate. Maybe you don't get to come to the barbecue. You get a plate at work on Monday. You know what I mean? But like, this conversation is definitely not over. And I want those of y'all in the comment section who are going nuts to join us in this conversation because there are so many perspectives that are very valuable. It's not just the 4 of us. It wasn't just 3 of us before Tiara hopped on. Like, we're just 4 people who are bold enough to be on here and spill our guts and be transparent and be able to be ripped apart by other people and still show up and do it. Like, so come have these conversations because we only know what we know. You know what I'm saying? And we learn so much from each person and in every conversation. And I mean, I don't know. Like I said, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. There's no sitting on the fence for me. And that's just how it is. So I look forward to So now.
And speaking of barbecue, you better come to Dirty Glove Midwest.
That part.
That barbecue, woo-wee. You ain't been a part of no good barbecue.
Yep.
We're inviting y'all to our barbecue.
Yes, everybody's welcome to that.
Free thinkers. That's when I changed. We take everybody. Free thinkers. And if y'all don't know nothing about me, I now when it comes to free thinkers, I'm very territorial about everyone having the right to speak what's on their mind. I don't play that. So yeah, you come in, you speak your mind, and you good to go. Tiara, you got any last thoughts, words, anything going on?
I mean, just with the barbecue issue, like it's okay to share your plate. Doesn't mean you have to share your culture. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You can give certain things. You don't have to give it all. We can be welcoming with also keeping ourselves.
You take a plate home, but you ain't getting on the grill.
Yeah,
you don't come up. You ain't cooking. You getting to cook a steak and meat. No.
I don't want you to cook. Now you got to cook too much dibbling and dabbling. So we just have to be mindful of boundaries. I think that's what Black people in general, we're so giving, we're so loyal, we're so forgiving of everything. And sometimes it's okay to say, hey, off limits.
Yeah, agree.
No, I'm with that. I'm absolutely with that. Denise, you got any last words?
Yes. Emotional intelligence. That is something I am working on, and it's something that I feel like will just be so helpful in every aspect of everyone's lives. If you know, have the awareness about yourself, have the awareness of other people, have the awareness of how what you're doing affects other people. If we move through life like that, we're not going to be perfect. And you're not going to always walk into a situation like freethinkers where you can say some wrong shit and we will lovingly help get you together. You know, you might be in a situation where people, you know, want to completely ostracize you for getting things wrong. But I'm here to tell you that it's okay to be wrong sometimes. But once you realize that you are wrong, then it's time to make the corrections. Nobody's perfect. We're all learning. We're all trying to figure it out. That's what life is about. That's all I got.
Amen to that.
We will double down on you. If you double down on your rightness, we will triple down on your wrongness.
Baby.
then it get kind of then you start feeling some type of way. All you got to do is just, you know, be like, yeah, I see what you're saying. You kind of Hey, good time, everybody. Thank y'all. Meet us live in person. It's a good time. It's a different vibe. But it's beautiful. Next week, and then we'll see you in 2 weeks. Unless, you know, Denise, you always have the option if you just want to, you know, you and Tierra want to run it worldwide. Y'all could run a different one. Keep it going that way. It's up to you. She looking like, no, I don't want to.
I know sometimes I so want to go live when we're there on Tuesday, just to be like.
I'd be so jealous. Y'all have no idea. When y'all like, oh, it's next week, I was like, oh, okay, fine.
Y'all get to see me drop more F-bombs than Nikki. Crazy. I'll be out there wilding too.
And I think people really get tripped out by that, you know? I think they're like, he really does say that?
You think you know me. You don't know me the way you think you do. Tell you.
No, it's a good time. It really is. You know, we have these same conversations in person, and like you said last time, man, it's different folks that come in person that come online. So just, you know, come and check us out. Come eat, come engage in some conversation. If you don't feel like you're a great conversationalist, you don't have to be. Just come. It's going to come naturally. You start feeling, you start talking, open your mouth, you know? It's a great time, good food, good support, good energy. You never know who's going to be there. Great networking opportunities. You know, I mean, it's a good ass time, right? You know, and we all need a good space. And so our in-person is definitely, I'm so glad people kept telling us to get an in-person going, because it has definitely refreshed my spirit. Just being able to be in space like here, but in person. Like, and I'm all about the in-person experience. So come on out and support and share and get some love, and, you know, talk a little crazy to somebody if you need to. It's adults only. Do not bring your kids at all. It is complete grown up activities. And it's free, totally secluded. It's private. Ain't gonna be nobody invited to the barbecue that ain't supposed to be there. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's very secluded. Yeah, you ain't coming up in there unless you know where it's at.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. But we'll have more details, of course, this week on the Facebook Freethinkers group page. So, of course, join us over there. We'll have a flyer up here probably in the next couple of days. But if you know where Dirty Glove Midwest Barbecue is, that's where we'll be at next Tuesday. And then we'll be back here the Tuesday after that. And I appreciate y'all for joining us. It's been so good to see you the last couple of weeks, Tierra.
Yeah.
Stop in a little bit more.
Like all times. I'm like, oh shit,
I know. Like, I'm making sure I'm coming through it. I don't care if it's like the last 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
I'm happy that you came.
Yeah.
Comments. So we appreciate everybody for supporting us. Those who are going to call me tomorrow and be like, what did you say? And you shouldn't have said this. And why did you say this? Like, we appreciate everybody for supporting us. Please share this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, join us over on the Facebook page, share this, tell somebody about us. We need to keep building. So help us get there. And we totally appreciate everybody who has helped us thus far and continues to give us you during this hour and a half or 3 while we do this every Tuesday. So I'll shut up, and that's my final, I guess. Good night.
All right. Good night, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.